I'm all right. Will I be like 80 years old by then?
Well, we all know that no one's going home until the Lord allows it.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, at this rate, I'll have to be 120 years old before I'm finally just have a day where I go, hey, I can see the difference between the people who want to hurt me and the people who don't.
Yeah.
Because of the programming. Anyway, my programming started breaking in around the year 2000. And that's when they all gathered around to kill me. And that was freaking them out because I was actually starting to figure out who, what, where, why, and what they did. And then we did escape from Los Angeles at that time. And the only word I had to me was someone saying, well, you'll be safe there. Like almost angry that we escaped.
Well, we did a show 2 weeks ago, and we did a lot of exposing of the Dulce base, the tabernacle you had built. Do you think it has a lot to do with that? I mean, we both got under extreme attacks for that show.
According to a very, very, let's just say, a very gifted Native American who is tied in with all this, he had a vision of the tabernacle, not a vision, he said he was there, standing in the tabernacle when the Shekinah glory of the Father, of God, of Yahweh, hit it, and it went in 4 different directions, and it connected up this grid between Dulce, Los Alamos, Kirtland, and other places. And he went to Dulce, you know, he traveled in the spirit. There was no separation with him. This guy just, you know how Indians are. You know, he just showed up there, and he started ministering and praying, you know, the blood of Yeshua, and ministering about the gospel to the people in the cages. And he said their souls, their spirits left the vessels, leaving only husks. And all this happened October 5th is when the tabernacle was finished. October 5th, it just so happened, was the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles in the Jewish calendar. It was not planned. It was planned to be done a month ago. See? And I found that to be strange. And ever since that thing's been built, I don't know why I'm going back in the past on this programming thing, Sherry. It just seems to be something that just very recently I've come so far in such a short period of time.
We were distracting you. You know, we've both been feeling lately that, you know, the Lord's standing up people to make the imprisonment of these people in underground bases known. You live right in a hot spot. You've been in a position to do something, building this tabernacle, this energy vortex out there in New Mexico. The government doesn't want this information out there.
And that's why they're obviously sending, you know, negative stuff at me.
Sure they are.
I'll just say this, that if that's true, that a lot of those people have left their bodies in Dulce, left those cages, in other words, their spirit liberated, being loosed from the body, that would mean that there would just be a husk left.
So they're basically dead?
Well, the souls would be gone.
Yeah. So
not all of them, but in other words, he said a good deal of them, when they found a way out, they went with him. And so he feels that his job is to free those people. Now, here's another thing. There's a remote viewer that is gifted by God. I don't care what people, she calls it remote viewing. And her name is Kelly Faulkner. Now, she is, this next week or two, she's going to view this Dulce thing. She works with the FBI to find missing bodies. She has a 100% accuracy record. Whatever she targets in on, she'll get exactly what is there, almost like a GPS system. She felt that it began, I mean, this is just the first thing I have from her, but she felt that it began as a bomb shelter for nuclear bombs. That's how it began. And
the Dulce base?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what they did was, when they started building this base, we know it's 7, 8, maybe even, you know, higher numbers than that. Mm-hmm. But the most humans know is that it's 7 levels long, 7 levels deep. But they ended up building on top of a nest of aliens that was already living there underground. So the base itself, the first 5 floors were actually built, and the ones below that were pre-existent. They built this thing under, you know, the premises of, you know, keeping the government secure at the times of a nuclear attack, hideout shelters for the government.
Right.
And it just turned over. Once the agreement started, with the aliens, they needed joint bases to work with the aliens, exchange of technology.
And there are different aliens there, apparently. There's the short robotic gray, and then there's the tall ones.
Right, and the short grays don't have minds of their own. They operate in the hive capacity.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were also individuals who are about, 5 to 6 feet tall.
Those are the ones that they signed the treaties with.
Right.
The tall grays.
And these were the ones that Phil Schneider got into a shootout with, and and all that. But anyway, that's all going on. Most people don't realize it, but the battle here is spiritual. That's why there's this grid that's set up, that's this tabernacle that has something to do with fighting this reality. Because the reality involves abduction, let's say, genetic experiments, taking people against their will and keeping them forever in these cages and doing experiments on them. All that kind of stuff is spiritual. It's what I consider to be a spiritual violation, a horrible, horrible reality. And but there is liberty for the captives, in the spirit. But it has to be a spiritual solution, meaning something with their souls to be liberated from the body, because the body's already gone. They've already been damaged. They're not exactly going to be able to come up from underground and go, out to McDonald's or something.
Yeah.
They're down there. Those bodies are there forever. They're never coming up. That's not the kind of miracle we need here. The kind of miracle they need is to be liberated back to the Father, you see, to peace, to joy. And that's what we've got to be about, bringing the positive aspect of this in.
Yeah, and just getting these bases closed down so they can't abduct anybody else.
Well, you're not dealing with the human there. You're dealing with the fact that, what permission is? Permission is generational curses. So if permission is ubiquitous now, most people don't even realize that, well, Sherry, I got some new news for you, and I'll just hit you with this, okay? And then you take it and you can run with it the way you will. I got a word or a vision or combination of what the UFO invasion or the alien invasion really is. And what it is, it begins now it is an internal invasion in the spirit, in the mind, in dreams. And that's how it's begun. And it will affect billions of people. And in that affliction and oppression, much permission will be given for physical, literal abduction. And soul scalping and all that.
Right.
Okay, and even mass death. Because, in a sense, people have to give permission for nuclear war. It's a spiritual permission, otherwise it won't happen.
Well, everything happens in the spirit realm first before it actually happens in the physical realm.
But so the invasion is internal, not external. So when people are looking for an external invasion, it's not starting that way. It starts, for example, taking someone in the dream. And now a lot of the abductions that happen are done in the spirit. In other words, the soul is taken from the body and abducted and then put back, even though the physical body never moved. That's a lot of it. And then, of course, there are the physical abductions as well, right. The impregnations.
And the dream ones are just more rampant. I would say they're probably 100,000 to 1 compared to physical abductions.
Well, the dream ones are the most dangerous because now, how do you know that you're dealing with this reality in a dream versus just having a regular dream?
Right. Well, some people can become lucid. I mean, some people can actually, when you wake up and this dream has just horrified you, and you can't get it out of your mind in days and weeks and months, then it wasn't just a regular dream. You forget regular dreams.
Right.
You can remember, I had the stupidest dream and I had to wake myself up just to get out of it. But you know what? When it's an abduction dream, this thing will linger. It's almost like a vision, like almost getting a dream from the Lord where He's trying to tell you something, and you never forget it.
You can feel this one. I mean, in other words, it actually has physical feelings to it, like you're really being taken out of your
people
house.
Can wake up and they can look and they can have marks on their fingerprint marks on their hands, on their arms, needle marks on their fingers.
I've had all that. I've had all that on like scratches across my